A warm welcome. Our conversation today will be about how to restore mental alertness and joy in everyday life without resorting to heroic efforts or strict restrictions. Have you ever noticed that you're asking people to repeat themselves more often or suddenly feel unexplained fatigue and brain fog, even though you haven't really overworked yourself? Or perhaps the feeling that your thoughts get jumbled and important little details slip from your memory is familiar. These aren't just quirks of aging. They can be signals from our body, and especially our brain, that something is hindering it from working at full capacity. As the years go by, our internal systems become more sensitive, and some everyday, completely familiar things that we don't even notice can act as silent saboteurs, stealthily weakening our memory and clarity of thought. Imagine your brain as a complex and delicate instrument, and these habits are like dust or fine sand getting into the mechanism, preventing it from running smoothly. But don't rush to despair. I promise you that today we will examine 5 such non-obvious points, and most importantly, find simple and accessible ways for everyone to correct them. You'll be surprised how small changes in your usual routine can lead to a noticeable surge of energy, improved mood, and, of course, strengthened memory. No monumental tasks, just self-care based on understanding. Stay with me until the end, and you'll learn how easily you can regain a sense of control over your well-being and mental sharpness. 1. The silent enemy, uncorrected hearing. The first non-obvious habit that can seriously impact memory is ignoring gradual hearing loss. We often blame it on age, feel embarrassed to ask people to repeat themselves, and try to avoid noisy gatherings to avoid feeling awkward. But what's really happening? When hearing is diminished, our brain is forced to expend enormous resources just to decipher speech and understand what's happening around us. It works over time, like an old radio receiver trying to catch a weak station through static. This constant extra work drains energy from other important functions, including memorization and information processing. Furthermore, difficulties in communication often lead to social isolation, and we already know how detrimental that is for the brain. So, what should you do? Replace ignoring the problem with actively caring for your hearing. Don't hesitate to get your hearing checked. It's as normal as getting your vision checked. And if a specialist recommends a hearing aid, treat it as a useful tool, not a sign of old age. Let me tell you the story of George. He's 73. George was always the life of the party, loved meeting friends, family dinners. But over the last couple of years, he started declining invitations more often. At home, he turned the TV volume up louder, and in conversations, he often nodded inappropriately. He got terribly angry with himself when he realized he'd lost the thread of the conversation, feeling foolish, asking people to repeat themselves. He felt his memory was getting worse too. He couldn't recall details of recent conversations. No wonder, since he hadn't really heard them. The thought of a hearing aid caused internal resistance. I'm not that old yet. That's for the really deaf. He felt awkward, afraid it would be noticeable that people would pity him. But his daughter gently insisted on a visit to an audiologist. Fitting and adjusting the device took time, and getting used to it wasn't immediate either. But when George, for the first time in a long while, could easily participate in a general conversation at a friend's dinner without straining or asking for repetitions, he felt immense relief. It was like trying to read a book in dim light for a long time, and then someone turned on a bright lamp. The world of sounds became clear. Communication brought joy again, not stress. And surprisingly, he noticed his memory had improved too. His brain stopped wasting energy on deciphering and could function normally. Psychologically, he also felt more confident and younger. Practical benefits for you: improved ability to understand speech and communicate, reduced mental load and fatigue, decreased risk of social isolation, improved memory and cognitive functions, enhanced quality of life. Takeaway: good hearing isn't a luxury, but vital support for your brain. Don't let silence steal your memories and the joy of communication. 2. Neglecting sleep, nighttime memory sabotage. The second habit that undermines our memory during sleep, or rather due to lack of it, is neglecting quality nighttime rest. Sleep patterns can indeed change with age, leading to difficulty falling asleep or frequent awakenings. Many start considering this normal. Old people don't sleep much, but this is a dangerous misconception. Sleep isn't just rest. It's a time of active brain work. It's during sleep that the cleanup happens. Toxic byproducts of nerve cell activity are cleared out, and critically important for memory. Memory consolidation occurs. Information is transferred from short-term to long-term memory. If sleep is shallow, interrupted, or insufficient, these processes are disrupted. The brain doesn't have time to tidy up and file away the information received during the day. What to do? Replace a chaotic approach to sleep with consciously creating conditions for quality rest. Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time, even on weekends. Create a relaxing bedtime ritual. A warm bath, calm music, reading a physical book, not from a screen, a cup of herbal tea. Let's remember Brenda, 69 years old. Brenda complained of constant fatigue and brain fog. She slept poorly, tossed and turned for a long time, woke up several times a night, and felt drained in the morning. Forgetfulness became her constant companion. Sometimes she'd forget why she entered a room. Other times, she couldn't recall the name of an actress from her favorite movie. It must just be old age, she sighed, resigned. She would watch TV or use her tablet late into the evening, then wonder why she couldn't sleep. When we discussed the importance of sleep routine and hygiene, she was skeptical. What's there to change? I sleep how I sleep. But she decided to try anyway. She started turning off the TV and putting away her tablet an hour before bed, listening to calm music or reading instead. She began going to bed and waking up at the same time, even if she didn't feel like it at first. The improvements were minor the first few nights, but Brenda showed persistence. After about 2 weeks, she was surprised to realize she was waking up less often during the night and felt much more refreshed in the morning. Most importantly, she noticed her head felt clearer and her memory was sharper. She started retaining new information better, forgetting things less often. For her brain, sleep was like the night shift for a large office. While everyone rests, cleaners tidy up, and archivists file documents. When this shift works well, the office brain is ready for productive work the next day. Practical benefits for you: improved memory consolidation, information retention, increased daytime concentration and attention, better mood, more energy, support for overall brain health. Takeaway: give yourself the gift of quality sleep. It's one of the best presents you can give your memory. 3. The grip of chronic stress and anxiety. The third habit is living under constant stress and anxiety. Retirement, health concerns, personal and loved ones, financial issues, worries about children and grandchildren. There are plenty of reasons for worry in mature age. But when anxiety becomes chronic, it transforms from a protective mechanism into a destructive force. Constant stress causes our body to produce the hormone cortisol. In small doses, it's helpful, but in excess, especially prolonged, is literally toxic to the brain, particularly the hippocampus, the area responsible for learning and memory. Chronic stress creates a feeling of brain fog, hinders concentration, and makes it difficult to remember new things. What to do? Replace passively sinking into anxiety with active stress management practices. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent. It means learning to cope with anxiety in healthier ways. Try simple breathing exercises, short sessions of meditation or mindfulness. Simply focus on your breath for 5 minutes. Light physical activity. A walk in nature works wonders. A heart-to-heart talk with a friend or loved one, or a hobby that brings you joy and distraction. Meet Harold, 71 years old. Harold had always been a responsible person, but in recent years he became very anxious. He constantly worried about rising prices, his wife's health, his adult children's problems. His thoughts spun in circles, interfering with sleep and simply enjoying life. He became terribly absent-minded, forgot scheduled doctor's appointments, couldn't remember what he had just talked about on the phone. He felt exhausted and helpless against the avalanche of worries. The idea of relaxing seemed sacrilegious to him. How can I relax when there are so many problems? He felt he constantly had to keep his finger on the pulse. We agreed on a small step. Every day, at the same time, he would go for a 15-minute walk in the nearby park and try not to think about problems, but simply notice the details around him: the rustle of leaves, birdsong, physical sensations. He also agreed to try a simple exercise. Several times a day, take 3 to 4 slow, deep breaths, especially when feeling an anxiety attack coming on. At first, Harold did this formally, but gradually, he noticed that during his walks, his thoughts did calm down a bit, and deep breathing helped release tension in his body. He started sleeping slightly better. Then he realized with surprise that he was forgetting things less. Reducing his stress level allowed his brain to breathe. Imagine anxiety is like loud, intrusive music that prevents you from thinking or hearing anything else. Stress management practices are like a volume control that allows you to turn down the music, freeing up space for clear thoughts and memories. Practical benefits for you: reduced levels of harmful cortisol, improved concentration and attention, calmer sleep, better mood and emotional balance, protection of brain cells from damage. Takeaway: by managing stress, you're not running away from problems, but giving your brain the strength to solve them and preserve your memory. Take care of your inner peace. 4. Hidden drought, lack of water. The fourth habit, which many don't even think about, is chronic mild dehydration. With age, the sensation of thirst can indeed diminish, and we simply forget to drink enough water throughout the day. Seems trivial, but our brain is about 75% water, and even slight dehydration, 1 to 2% of body weight, can significantly affect its function. Concentration worsens, reaction time slows, short-term memory suffers, and feelings of fatigue and brain fog appear. It's like trying to start a car with an almost empty tank. It might go, but it will sputter and stall. What to do? Replace unconscious fluid consumption, or lack thereof, with conscious hydration. Make drinking water a regular habit. Keep a bottle or glass of water always within reach in plain sight. Set reminders on your phone. Train yourself to drink water upon waking, before each meal, and when taking medications. Here's the story of Patricia, 76 years old. Patricia often complained of headaches, especially in the afternoon, and a constant feeling of sluggishness. Getting old is no fun, she'd say. Her memory was failing too. She might forget what she wanted to buy at the store, or struggle to find words. When I asked her how much water she drank, she shrugged. Well, I drink tea, eat soup. I just don't feel like drinking plain water. I don't feel thirsty. She thought that if there was no thirst, there was no need to drink. We agreed on an experiment. She bought herself a nice water bottle with hourly markings and set a goal to drink it throughout the day. The first few days she had to force herself, drinking small amounts regularly. Within a week, Patricia noted with surprise that her headaches were less frequent and milder, and she didn't feel so drowsy after lunch. After another couple of weeks, she noticed she felt less sluggish. Her thoughts seemed clearer, and she caught herself forgetting things less often. Water was like a life-giving rain for her parched brain. Brain cells received necessary hydration, transport of nutrients and oxygen improved, and metabolic processes normalized. Patricia realized that thirst isn't the only indicator of the need for water, especially at her age. Practical benefits for you: improved concentration and attention, increased mental performance, reduced fatigue and brain fog, support for optimal brain cell function, improved overall well-being. Takeaway: simple water is powerful fuel for your brain. Make it your daily ally in the fight for a clear memory. 5. The medication web, underestimating drug effects. And finally, the fifth habit requiring special attention is not being critical enough about the medications we take. In mature age, many of us take several drugs simultaneously, this is called polypharmacy, to treat various chronic conditions. We trust our doctors, and rightly so. But sometimes we forget that any medication is a chemical substance that can have side effects, including effects on cognitive functions, memory, attention, processing speed. Some common drugs, sleeping pills, sedatives, older generation antihistamines, certain blood pressure or incontinence medications, can cause drowsiness, confusion, or directly impair memory. Furthermore, the interaction between several drugs can also produce unpredictable effects. What to do? Replace passive medication intake with an active partnership with your doctor and pharmacist. Regularly, at least once a year, and preferably more often, especially if your well-being changes, conduct a review of all the medications you take, including over-the-counter ones and supplements. Ask your doctor directly, could any of these medications or their combination affect my memory or cause sluggishness? Are there safer alternatives? Listen to the story of Frank, 78 years old. Frank took a handful of pills every morning and evening, for blood pressure, cholesterol, joint pain, something for sleep. In the last year or two, he began to notice it was harder to concentrate. His memory had noticeably worsened, and he often felt somewhat out of sorts. He attributed it to age and the progression of his ailments. Well, what can you do? The years take their toll, he thought. His son, concerned about his father's condition, persuaded him to see the doctor not just for another prescription, but specifically for a detailed discussion of all his medications. Frank brought a complete list of everything he was taking. The doctor carefully reviewed the list and found that one of the sleeping pills Frank had been taking for a long time belonged to a group of drugs often causing cognitive impairment in the elderly. Additionally, there was a possible adverse interaction with another medication. The doctor suggested replacing the sleeping pill with a more modern drug with fewer side effects and adjusted the dose of another medication. Frank approached this with hope, but without great expectations. Imagine his surprise when, a few weeks after the therapy change, he felt significantly better. "It's like a veil has been lifted from my eyes," he told his son. His thoughts became clearer, memory improved, and the constant drowsiness disappeared. He realized that age wasn't always to blame. Sometimes the problem lies in what's meant to help. It was like driving a car with the parking brake constantly engaged and then finally releasing it. Practical benefits for you: reduced risk of drug-induced cognitive impairment, improved mental clarity and memory, increased safety of medication therapy, optimization of treatment for underlying conditions. Takeaway: call to action. Be an active participant in your treatment. Your medications should help you live better, not hinder clear thinking. Don't hesitate to ask questions. So, we've discussed 5 different, yet equally important aspects of our daily lives that can affect our memory more than we think: caring for hearing, sleep quality, stress management, adequate hydration, and careful attention to medications. My dear friends, you possess incredible life force and wisdom accumulated over many years. You have every right to enjoy your golden years with a clear head and good well-being. Remember that caring for your brain isn't some complex science accessible only to doctors. It's a multitude of small, daily steps that each of us can take. It's an expression of self-love, respect for your body and mind. Don't be afraid to make small changes to your habits. Start with one thing that seemed most relevant to you. Believe in your strength. Listen to yourself. You are capable of maintaining mental sharpness and the joy of life for many years to come. Take the first step today. Your future self will thank you for it.